Hi, everyone. Welcome to another segment on Chapter 4, Elasticity. And in this segment, we're going to look at an application of price elasticity. And the application specifically is excise tax. When excise tax is applied, who pays more of that tax, consumers or producers? And the answer is, it depends on the elasticity. So we start out with this relatively busy looking little graph, but it's actually fairly straightforward. It's just a supply shift, and we've done that. So we start off looking at the original supply curve, the original demand curve for this particular product. And it's showing quantity of cases per month, millions of them. So maybe it's like a soda pop that's bad for you and the government wants to throw a tax on it to discourage consumption. So we just find the equilibrium point, which is right there. And that shows that there's 5 million of cases per month of this. And we go across and we see this is the original equilibrium price. So I'm going to write PE and point an arrow to the 8. So keep that in mind. That's what consumers originally paid for this product, and that's what producers originally received from this product, and there was no tax involved. But the government comes along and says, you know what, we're going to tax this product for the good of the people. So you can see here I'm pointing to a $2 tax. Essentially, the producers have to collect that tax. So for every product they sell, no matter what price they used to sell it at, they need $2 more. So it's essentially like shifting that whole supply curve straight up, just like I'm shifting it there. And we end up with this new supply curve called supply plus tax. And you notice there's the $2 tax I'm pointing to straight up and down. In fact, between this point and this point is $2, and literally down here between that point and that point is $2. So this would be intersecting at a 3. I could draw it correctly, and this would be intersecting at a 5. So there's the $2 tax right there, and it's everywhere between these two supply curves. So that's logistics. We just shifted up by $2. And now what do? Well, we start our analysis all over again. We take a look at the new equilibrium, which has to be right there. That's the new supply curve with tax intersecting the old demand curve, and market forces are still in play. So in our course, we hit equilibrium, quantities come down some, but importantly, we have to find the new equilibrium price, the price PE prime that we had when we imposed the tax now. And we see the new equilibrium price is $9. Notice that the tax was 2, but the equilibrium price only went up 9. Nonetheless, we look at that price of $9 and we know that consumers pay $9. Okay? And producers receive $9. But they both are now in a different situation. For consumers, I'll just write C, they used to pay how much? $8. Now, $9. So they pay half the tax. The tax was $2. So they pay half of it. If they used to pay 8, now they pay 9. So they essentially are paying half the tax. And you think of producers, they used to get $8. Now they get $9, but they have to give $2 away to the government. They collected that tax, but they have to give it back to the government. So producers used to get $8. Now they collect 9, but $2 goes to the government in tax. So they keep $7. So they used to get 8 and keep it, and now they get 7 and keep it. So they also paid $1 of that tax. So in this case, the tax cost of $2 is shared equally between the producers and the consumers. Now we're going to go on to another slide and look at different elasticities of demand, and hopefully my writing will be a lot clearer. Okay, let's look at the graphs for this application of price elasticity and show the two graphs with the same tax increase. So the supply curves are exactly the same here. And the shift in the supply curve is exactly the same because it reflects the same amount of tax that's added in both cases to these two different products. What's different about these two different products is here the demand curve is very steep, so it's very inelastic, and here the demand curve is flat, so it's very elastic. The left one, the consumer's response is very slight compared to price changes. On the right one, the consumer response is much greater compared or when there are price changes. So inelastic on the left, elastic on the right. Let's take a look at what happens. We start and we find the equilibrium price here, right where demand and supply cross, and that's the original supply. Here's the equilibrium price, PE, and we go over here and do the same thing. Demand and supply cross, and we find the same equilibrium price. The only thing is this is the inelastic demand, it's steeper. We add the same tax, the supply curve shifts the way it does, and we find the new equilibrium price that consumers would pay. That's PE prime. And we notice that that equilibrium price has gone up quite a bit. In fact, it's gone up almost the entire amount of the tax. So the lion's share of the tax, or the large part of the tax, is paid for by the consumer here. Let's go to the other one, and we see we've got the same shift in supply because of the same increase in tax, and then we just do our analysis and find where demand and supply intersect, find the new equilibrium price that consumers will pay for this product, and we see that price has only gone up a little compared to the jump in tax. And it's because consumers shifted away from buying this particular product because of their elastic demand. So with elastic demand, consumers bear less of the tax burden because their purchase price only goes up a little, and presumably the producers, of course, bear the most of the tax burden. But when there's inelastic demand and a tax gets imposed, consumers bear the large brunt of the tax increase and producers bear a smaller amount. So the burden of the tax falls on the consumers when there's inelastic demand. And if you really think about it, that won't surprise you too much at all. So that's it for this segment on applications. In the next few segments, we're going to look at other types of elasticity, not price elasticity of demand, but other types of elasticity. And we'll see you when we get there.